I woke up this morning with new wisdom on my mind. I know who I am. There's no need to hide. I got something to say. I'm thinking that it's time. Why? Cause I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. Pay me my respect.
You are now tuned in to the Young Intellect podcast, an open space where experiences and opinions are welcomed, hosted by Andreas, Sam, and Mafwa. Welcoming you to our open space to teach, learn, laugh, and love.
I'm your co-host Sam, here to encourage you to explore different ways to view the world at large.
Last episode of our Black History Month series.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, we've done 4 episodes for Black History Month. Or is it 3? We did one for like money in the Black community, colorism, and right now we have a new episode.
Yes. And our co-host Anne is still recovering, and we're just grateful that even though she is still feeling sick, she is carrying on and she's strong. So shout out to her.
Yeah, definitely. She'll be back one of these days, but for now, she won't be recording with us for this moment because she's taking the time to recover, and we're just hoping and wishing for positivity into her life.
Yeah, and we want her to take her time to recover because above everything, health is the most important thing. So if you guys are stressed or sick, take the time to recover because it is very, very, extremely, very, very important.
Definitely. Like the saying says, health is wealth, even though it's a bit corny, but it is true. Your health is actually very important. Like, even if you have to go to work, like, F that job, okay? Because let me tell you, they can replace you in any second, but your life is not replaceable.
Exactly. If you fall ill and you're very, very sick, it's gonna be very hard to get better. So take care of yourself, and that should be the first priority.
Okay. Yes. So now the topic, the episode. So as we know, Black people are very influential in the world, actually, not even in America, especially African American. African American cultures have influenced so many different cultures around the globe, and Black people have contributed greatly to influencing different cultures through food, music, style, and just about everything. So like currently there's like this I feel like the popular culture is mostly Black African American culture that's just been popularized, and it's known as the popular culture.
Yeah. Africans, African Americans, Black, British people. I feel like they set the trends wherever they are. Black people set the trends wherever they are, and our culture just radiates throughout everywhere. And it's traveled so far that other cultures that don't even accept Black people are taking on our practices, our food, our music, our dance style,
Everything.
and adopting it as theirs, and they really enjoy it. And I just believe it has something to do with our spirits, our natural, because we are the first people. So our natural human spirits, we just know how to do those things so effortlessly.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. So what are some things that you believe in, besides like the food, specifically music and just our cultures? What are some things specifically that you believe that Black people have influenced society through?
First of all, Black people taught white people and all people everything we currently know, and we're not given the credit for that. When it comes to hygiene, we taught them how to shower, how to take baths, how to properly take care of yourself in that way. And also, the first university in Europe was Black people had that, the Moors, and the first like Christianity was started by Black people, and in Africa. So everything that we currently stand on today, everything, the main parts of our society, we made that.
Mhm. Definitely agree. And I think it's ironic because usually they would view Black people as being the dirtiest group. but we're like helping other people with their hygienes, and they turn around and call us like dirty or black. Like being black is, it means like you need to scrape yourself off from all the dirt that you have. I just found that kind of ironic.
And I think the dirty thing is just a way to make us feel self conscious and hate ourselves because it's far from the truth. Statistics show that we spend the most money on hygiene products, and it is because we are called dirty and all of that, so we have to prove ourselves.
Hmm.
But it's just not true. It's just a lie.
Hmm. So for like the music, Black people invented a lot of the music that we know of today. So, hip hop is one of the big ones. Hip hop was invented in the 1960s by, I believe, DJ Kool Herc, I believe, and it was in New York City.
Mm.
And I think he invented it like during block parties and stuff like that. And now that type of, I think, hip hop and rap has been like traveled all around the world, and it's, you can see it in probably Russia, and then like Korean music is most influenced by a lot of things that Black people have. Not only the music, I actually watched a whole video of how like Koreans are heavily influenced by Black people, from
Exactly.
like the style that Black people have, especially in the 90s, to like the way they would rap. They would sound like Black people, like Black artists that at that time, but speaking Korean.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that like we have that much influence over people and our cultures that like desired and wanted and superior, that people would mimic it in that way. And even though we moved on and adapted, they're like scrambling after our scraps. So shout out to us. And it's just it's crazy because these people will never want to be us because of everything they hear about us or the lies they've been told or the brainwashing that's happened, but they would want to adopt our culture.
Mm-hmm. Because Black culture is cool. Like it's cool to rap. It's cool to dress like we dress. Because honestly, we know how to dress. I'm not trying to toot our own horn and stuff, but we know how to dress. We know style. Like it's something in our blood, like something in our bloodline that just sets us apart.
No, we really do, and I think that we have a hard time adjusting into the society because it's not our natural culture. Because if you look at the way we used to live, we didn't used to have to go to work every day and work for somebody. We used to be very independent people who provided for our families and ourselves, grew our own food, had our own homes, acted as a community. And that's how that's what our genes and our ancestors were used to, and it's pretty new the way we're living. So we do struggle to fit into this society today, but we bring our old tendencies, our old cultures with us, which is, our music, our food, our style, which is something that we paid more attention to rather than having to work for money and all of this and become like slaves in a way. So that's why I think that's part of the reason why it's hard for us because we're kind of competing in a race that we're just naturally not meant for. Our
Mm-hmm.
society is just like really weird for us because if you think about it, you could just say it's been 300 years, but then like how long before that were we living another way? So 300 years is really just a tiny bit of time that we're focusing on.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And with that, I don't really think we're like supposed to, like you said, it's not a race for us. So I don't think we're supposed to fit in because we stand out so much, especially with our culture stand out so much. And it's not like, like how you have a puzzle,
Hmm.
like our piece doesn't fit for that puzzle. It's like it's not even the right puzzle.
Exactly, and you put it so beautifully. Like we're really not supposed to fit in, and we do stand out so much that we set trends all across the globe. And
Mm-hmm.
we're told that these trends aren't really desired or aren't really it, but then everyone else is copying them, so they are, and we're amazing. So having said that, what other music have we influenced or started? Do you know?
Oh, I wanted to mention rock and roll because people like to say it's invented by what was his name?
Was it Elvis?
Elvis Presley. Yeah. Elvis Presley. I always forget people's name. But yeah. But no, rock and roll was invented by Black people.
Yeah, I forgot what movie. I think it was Cadillac Records. I watched it a while ago.
The
And
one with Beyonce?
yeah, I believe the man who invented rock and roll, his name was Duck something or Chuck or something.
Chuck Berry?
I'm not.
Because Chuck Berry is like a prominent Black figure for rock and roll.
Okay, let me Google.
Yeah, he is. I actually wrote that down. I wrote his name.
Yeah, okay, it was Chuck Berry. So it was him, and he never received any credit for it. And like in the movie, it just showed how they stole his things, and no one really cared because he was Black, and he had to live with it. And yeah, it's really
Especially
sad.
Yeah, especially around that time because like it wasn't a time that they were really giving Black people credit for anything. And there's a lot of stuff in history that I feel like as soon as a white person did it or popularized it, it was like, damn, they gave him the credit that they never really deserved. So that kind of reminded me of there's a genre of music, what's country.
Yeah, country music was that's those Black people. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
You know.
it was invented by a Black person, but I cannot recall the actual name. I wish I could get the actual name. I did research a little bit, but I couldn't really find his name. I did find his name in something I was reading previously, and I just can't find where it is. But yeah, it was invented by a Black person and then, popularized by a white person. And then it's just like, well, white people invented country, but it's not true.
Yeah, it's just that they took over and we let them. Really, that's all that really happened. And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of reminds me of Betty Boop, how it was a Black lady and she was beautiful, and they turned her into a character. But they whitewashed her and they changed it white, and that's when people started
And then a white lady.
liking it and oh my gosh, beautiful, da 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 da. Yeah, it just reminds me of that because we start things and then they change it, change the face of it, and take it as theirs. And other music that we did start was also the blues and jazz music. And jazz music is even the blues is just really soulful music, and it really just represents us because we're soulful people. We kind of taught other people, other cultures about soul.
And I wanted to say that rock and roll was actually derived and emerged from gospel, jazz music, and a little bit of boogie and rhythm and blues and a bit of country. When I did my research, it said that's how they kind of found their way to rock and roll from those type of music. I said music. And other music that were actually created by Black people are house music, techno, and as I said, gospel, soul, R&B, which we're we've popularized R&B, so we are known for R&B.
Yeah, I mean, we just do that really well. And I feel like genres that they can't take away from us that we invented are reggae and Afrobeat, just because they come from Black lands, like lands where Black people not necessarily derive from, because the Caribbean Black people don't derive from there, but they'll displace there. But it's predominant, it is Black people's land now, so where Black people derive from.
Yeah, I actually saw a video where a Japanese group were doing dance hall music, and it was kind of interesting. It was just it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best music. It was just it was influenced by dance hall. And they were trying to imitate how the music videos. You've seen how dance hall music videos, how Jamaicans usually are a little bit like they're dancing a lot and then like probably twerking a lot and well mostly whining a lot and then they were trying it. They tried their best. The Japanese people tried their best.
E for
Yes.
effort, you know. But yeah, dancer was another category, and yeah, we shout out to Bob Marley for his amazing reggae music. It changed the world. He's a huge artist, and he influenced so many other artists after him. No, Afrobeats is another big genre, and it's taken over. People are implementing the beat styles into their music, and then it's also crossing with reggae music and dancehall, where artists are coming together and putting those together, and we're just making great music. Period.
Mhm. I actually had a question. Do you think most people are appropriating Black culture instead of appreciating?
I would say, well, okay. So what is meant by appropriating?
Appropriating is basically like taking a culture, like basically taking a part of a culture and not like giving credit to that culture. So, for example, I would say appropriating a part of Black culture is the idea of Kim Kardashian wearing the braids, the cornrows, and then Kim Kardashian didn't do it, but like the writers of that magazine were like calling it boxer braids. Kim Kardashian is starting a new trend is boxer braid. So like in a way,
Mm.
they try to appropriate that culture by not giving Black people the credit for having cornrows.
I would say yes and no. Like I feel that sometimes we do get hurt, like, and we do jump at things, even though people aren't appropriating it; they're just wearing the styles. But then
Mm-hmm.
when a magazine does do that and say that they're starting a new trend and they don't acknowledge the fact that it's been going on for thousands of years and Black people started it, then yes. But yeah, I think when magazines and the media acts like it's a new thing, it's a new trend that's just started, then it's really appropriating. But if someone wears our clothes and wears our hairstyles, it's not appropriating, because sometimes Black people do that to other cultures as well, and we don't feel like we're appropriating. But if we were like, we started it and it's ours, then yeah.
That is a good point. That we can appropriate other people cultures because like I think people don't really talk about that part that they we always talk as Black people and Black people in general. I'm not the representation of Black people. When I see things, it's always that others are appropriating our culture, but we never look at the other side of the coin that we can also appropriate another person's culture by what we do and what we wear.
Yeah, and I think we use that word out of context a lot, because some people aren't appropriating our culture; they're just wearing our clothes. But it's
Mhm.
appropriating if you dismiss the fact that we started it and we like brought it up. But then just because we are like, I see girls wearing, like, some Black girls wearing some Chinese outfits, those red dresses with the silk dresses with the gold
Mhm.
in them, and they're just wearing it, and then people are like, oh, but we're not allowed to wear your styles. And it's like, it's true, because we jump on people when they wear our styles and flaunt them. But when we do it, we act like, oh, we're just wearing it, and that's not appropriation. Appropriation is when you're like, when you take it on as yours and you say, and you kind of dismiss the originators.
Okay. So I actually wanted to find the actual definition for cultural appropriation. So I'm not mistaken. So from the definition of it, it says cultural appropriation is the adaptation of an element or elements of one culture or identity by members of another culture or identity. This can be controversial when members of a dominant culture appropriate from a disadvantaged minority culture. Yeah, that's the Wikipedia definition. But I do think it's mostly when you do not give credit or acknowledge where that specific thing comes from that culture.
It's true, because like, where I think like it's different now, because things that you can buy things online, and you don't have, like, you can buy things anywhere, anyhow. So you can't keep a culture's like clothing item within that culture. Anyone has access to it. So is it appropriating? No, it's just appreciate. I think it's more appreciating it, like liking it. Because if I do wear other cultures' outfits, I don't feel like speaking down on it, or appropriating it. But it's harder when, you know, you're from a culture who's been, you know, kind of put down and tossed to the
Mm-hmm.
side, and then people want to now like the stuff that you produce, but not like the people who produced it.
Mm. That is that definitely is a good point. I did find a definition that was more like along what we're saying. So it's basically the unacknowledgement or an appropriate adaptation of custom practices, ideas of one people or society by members of another, and typically more dominant people of society. So yeah.
Because you did make a good point, like with the Kim Kardashian braids. When she did the braids, she wasn't really appropriating it, but when magazines came out and say she started a new trend, boxer braids, that was the
Mhm.
appropriation. Because you can't, like, people wearing our hairstyles isn't wrong, because we wear other people's like we copy other people's cultures and stuff like that, so it's not wrong. But once we start speaking about it a certain way and acting about it a certain way, then yeah.
That's true. And yeah, so I guess yes, it doesn't like bother me when let me say it doesn't bother me when I see other people with like braids or something like that. Sometimes it might look weird. I might be like, "Why are you doing this?" Because it just don't look right. But you know, it's your head. You do what you want. If your hair falls off, that's your business. But
No, it's true, because sometimes it doesn't look the same when it looks weird. It's just that what I sometimes don't like, but I can't really control it, is when they say it looks better on us, and that, like, you know, when they really try to down, especially black women with hairstyles, like, oh, it looks better on us anyways. That like, okay.
wait, who tried to down it? Like,
No, like sometimes you see people saying stuff like that. Oh, it looks better in us anyways. And I remember some posts, and it's got nothing to do with the culture, but it's like the shapely body,
mm-hmm,
which is commonly associated with black women because we have more curves naturally. Um, so a black man was like, "Who needs black woman now?" Because a white woman had her body was curvy, and it was just like that's when it becomes a problem, when you start downing the people who naturally have that because now another culture has it. It's kind of like what we're talking about in the last episode, like it's like, just because you have these features and you're black doesn't mean you're desired, because if someone else was to have them and they weren't black, they'd still be put on top.
mm, that is true. I remember that post, and I just like it was a self-hatred for me in that post. I was like, yeah, this man or whatever it is that's behind that screen is just like, oh, a troll that hates himself or herself or whatever it was. Because they try to uplift. Yeah, the thing is, like, I truly do not like when people try to uplift the group and downside. Like, black people had nothing to do with that post, and you bring black women into it. It's like, you know, people were minding their business, eating their food, and then you go along, hey, I'm gonna bring you to this conversation that has nothing to do with you. That's what he basically did.
Exactly.
So, speaking of like, we were kind of speaking of hair a little bit earlier. So, like, some common hairstyles that Black people invented or have are like braids, cornrows, which was mentioned earlier, afros, stylish little afros with the pics and stuff like that. Baby hairs, edges, beads in our hair jewelry, hoop earrings, which is not really hair, which is like some accessories that we invented, and custom jewelry.
Yes, and all of these are becoming very popular, especially like waist beads now as well. Moving to more custom jewelry. Loads of cultures and people are enjoying waist beads, and that's black people. Um, Also, really beautiful hairstyles that really stand out, and just completely show out. were invented by Black people. There are styles, and it reminds me of like the bee hairstyle that white women were wearing. Is like where they puff up the front of their hair. I don't know. It's like a beehive hairstyle, and it's kind of inspired by Black people because our hair naturally stands up like that. But they had to use like they had to backcomb their hair, use a lot of
Heat.
hairspray, yeah, heat and hairspray to help it stand up. But it was really just trying to create an exotic hairstyle like Black women, well, exotic hairstyle in quotation marks, like Black women do naturally.
Okay. What are some other styles that you believe Black people created?
Um, in terms of hairstyles, I really think we covered most of it. I know that we created wigs. I believe so because ancient Egyptians wore wigs, so it was something that we did a long time ago as a group of people.
Yeah, the colorful wigs and the lace front, the things are like popular now. The wigs are popular now with the colors and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Definitely inspired by Black people.
yeah. Even like
And
wigs period from the jump, that was us.
even what?
Like wigs period from the jump, that was us.
Hmm.
All types of wigs.
And I think like for fashion, what some of the stuff we invented was like the streetwear, which now like, Asian people, I think Chinese have like a streetwear, which to me looks like 90s Black people mixed with, I guess, some um Asian culture things. But definitely we invented the streetwear, sneaker heads. Black people was all about Jordans and stuff like that, baggy clothes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did a lot for fashion, so shout out to us in fashion as well. And I also want to talk about other things that we helped influence and create that we kind of overlook, and we had a lot to do in the upcoming of technology. So I know one thing that we helped create was the electric lamp, which loads of us use. I'm pretty sure there's at least one in your household right now, a lamp, an electric lamp.
Using them right now.
Yeah, I'm literally using one right now. So shout out to my people, because before I think we used like the gas or the things that you had to light up with the matches. Ghetto.
Ooh, child. Oh, speaking of that, we can talk about that later.
Oh, okay. So what else did we invent or come up with?
The traffic light that every time you driving around in the street, you gotta stop, slow down and go. Or when it's yellow, you can just go. So yeah, we invented that.
Yeah.
Caller ID, so you know who's calling you. So like, if let's say somebody you don't like calls you, I have saved people's number as do not answer. So
Whatever. So you know not to pick up.
yeah. Or just like if someone calls you, you already know who it is, even though the number is not saved in your phone.
Mm. And another thing that we invented was automatic elevator doors. And I know that before we used to, I see the movies and sometimes those elevators where you have to pull the door down. Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore, mostly because of Black people. We have automatic doors that open sideways and we just walk out.
Yeah, and you have the mailbox where you go and put your mails and take your mail out. Next time you go to your mailbox, think the Black person that invented it.
Yeah, I literally went to my mailbox today, and so shout out to them.
Did you think them?
I didn't, but I'm gonna be going to my mailbox soon, and I'm gonna be like, a Black person made this. Hey. So another thing we invented was a home security system. We use this. Families really appreciate this, especially with kids or in areas that they might see unsafe, because people are crazy, and this really helps people with their safety and a lot. So shout out to us.
And we also have central heating furnaces.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
why.
thank you, Black people. And I just wanted to talk quickly about AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English. And I think that is something that's being popularized a lot right now, especially like with the invention of memes and like just social media and Twitter and everything like that. So people are always using what African Americans have been saying for the longest, like "woo child," which a lot of people aren't saying appropriately, or the ghetto and stuff like that. Or there's more.
Mm. Yeah, we really do influence a lot, and we need to take that and understand that we are powerful. We influence without even having trying to, without even knowing that we are. It's just something that people pick up on, and because we have that just spirit where it's just like we do things, it's natural, and people just pick up on it. So yeah, shout out to us.
Do you know any AAVE words or sayings or anything?
I do well. Like I know instead of like I'm going to, they say I'm finna
I'm finna go to the stove.
to the stove.
Yeah. My vernacular is not that great. That's why I don't try, but I'll say child.
Mm.
You could
I feel like it's more natural, like when you're doing it and every day, they're like when you're put on the spot, like say something. It's like, whoa, okay, okay.
hooch your leg. Hooch your leg. I think some people were like, I remember on Twitter people would think thought they were making fun of Chile, the country.
Oh, okay.
When people were like child, but it's just like a saying that people have been saying for the longest of time.
Ooh, Chile.
No, someone actually said Chile one time and I was dying. So sometimes I say Chile. So I think it was a white girl that she saw it. She was like, "Who Chile?" So I say it sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's funny.
You know, she gets an E for effort.
E for effort.
So,
So I guess that's what we have for today. It was just trying to like praise and showcase what Black people really have done for this country, because I feel like this country has done us a great disservice in so many different ways, and we're not acknowledged for a lot of the things that we've created
yeah.
and how we've paved the way for so many things.
Yeah, and it's very important for us to come on here and list just a few. Please don't think this is all, just a few, like less than 1% of what we've done for the world, what we've done for this country. We built this country. So that this is just like a little bit of what we've done. We built so many other countries. We produced a lot for the world. The natural resources come from our country. So shout out to us, and we really just wanted the episode just shouting us out on some of the things that we've done that people don't know, or might not be well versed on. So yeah.
And if you made it this far, thank you for listening. And also, we're not trying to bash or anything, because I know how society works sometimes. When you shine a light on one person, it's always, what about this? What about that person? Right now, we're choosing to shine a light on Black people because it is Black History Month.
Yeah, it is Black History Month, so we're doing this, and we're not putting down any other culture or making any other people seem as if they haven't done anything and they're just stealing from us. We're really just highlighting what we've done and how it's affected and influenced others.
Yeah, that's true, and some of them have been stealing, but yeah, just showcasing a little spotlight on it, because I do believe Black people just need a little spotlight sometimes. Thank you for joining us today on the Young Intellect Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and tell a friend to tell a friend about us, and make sure you take care of yourself and your mind.
'Cause I'm a young intellect.